Welcome back. The time is 10 minutes past 8, and you're still tuned in to News and Views, special Ramadan broadcast with me, Salalo Makwidi. We're going to kickstart the show with, what many perceive as a controversial move by the city of Johannesburg, the renaming of Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled Drive, an issue that has sparked significant controversy. And you also have the United States of America getting into the mix. They're warning that it may shut down its consulate in Sandton if the name change goes through. The U.S. consulate located at number 1 Sandton Drive, is supposedly an essential service provider to South Africans in Gauteng, Free State, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and the Northwest. And there are other critics of the name change argue that it is a vanity project, that it does nothing to improve service delivery and could damage diplomatic relations with Washington, which are already in the freezer. However, supporters, including Africa for Palestine and various Johannesburg councillors, believe it is an important political statement in solidarity with Palestine. It further intensifies South Africa's stance and where we stand on the ongoing genocide against the people of Palestine by the Israeli occupying forces, aided by the United States of America in a lot of ways. So we asked the question, is this an act of defiance against American dominance, or is it a reckless move that could have severe consequences for South Africans needing consular services? And joining us now is Ali Komape, is the communications and campaigns manager at Africa for Palestine, an organization, as I mentioned, at the forefront of pushing for this name change. Ali, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media. Good morning.
Good morning to you and your listeners, and thank you for having us.
Pleasure's all ours. I think first and foremost, we can kickstart the conversation with just the latest on the renaming of Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled. What's happening? What's the latest? Are we going to be seeing a name change sooner than we expected?
Basically, we've went through a number of processes that outlining the city's policies and guidelines for renaming street names in the city. We feel we've reached the final hurdle, which is the ratification by the city council on the decision taken to change the name, and of course the process taken to get petitions and support from the populace. It looks as if, in our own analysis, that this has went very well. We have overwhelming support from the citizens of Johannesburg. We have overwhelming support from the councillors from different political parties in the city council, and it looks as if we've went through the final hurdle, and we are at an implementation stage.
Mm. With that being said, as much as you say, there's overwhelming support, there are critics. You have parties like the Democratic Alliance, which are firmly standing against this name change. And a lot of the critics are echoing the same sentiment. They're saying this name change does little for Johannesburg residents and is purely symbolic. What is your response to that?
Of course it is. And we won't be told by people what symbolic gestures that represent our history, that represent our heritage, that looks at where we come from and where we aspire to be as South Africans. We won't let people tell us what to do in those regards. For example, let me tell you something very interesting about the DA and other parties that are anti-transformation. The street names in the Pretoria, the street names that represent a dark and painful history of South Africa's colonialism trajectory. Parties like the DA and the Freedom Front Plus took the city of Tshwane to court when they were changing those names. They said that it's a money wasting project. Changing those names to names of terrorists is not pro social cohesion and democracy. So those who want to tell us today that preserving our heritage is a waste of money in the vanity project are the ones yesterday who were fighting to keep memorabilia of apartheid and colonialism in this country. So we won't be told by them what to aspire to be in the future in terms of our symbols and our historic heritage sites and so on. So we won't be told by them. In fact, we are saying that apart from this Palestine solidarity campaign to change the particular name, change all of them in terms of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission recommendation, in terms of what the streets must reflect. I mean, for instance, why would a street name in, let's say, in the heart of Sandton, where majority of people in this country are black, will be named after a white UK or a white person from France and so on. So we don't agree with it. Many names must change if they
Mm.
should, to kind of reflect the realities and the history of the indigenous black people of this country.
Another argument, Ali, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, is that the issue of Palestine for many is seen as a very polarizing issue. There's no, seemingly common ground that all South Africans agree on, and there's a factor of social cohesion, that it won't foster unity, but it will in fact deepen divisions in the South African society. How do you respond to that one?
Nonsense. Nonsense. There's nothing polarizing here. In fact, if we're going to put matters into perspective, over 64% of people in this country voted for political parties that are pro-Palestine in the last election. What that says and what that symbolizes is that people of this country, in their overwhelming majority, over 64%, say that we stand with Palestine and we support Palestine. So to peddle this, it's a lie that it's polarizing, it divides people. No, an overwhelming majority in this country supports Palestine, and that's a fact. So people can't say the question of Palestine is going to divide us further. If we're already divided, nonsense. People of
Mm,
Palestine enjoy South Africa's support, and we believe they will continue to enjoy it um, as long as Israel practices apartheid, colonialism, and genocide. Uh, if that is the case, then Palestine will continue enjoying massive support from the greater um, South African populace and South African communities.
There's another issue here which has reared its ugly head in the last few days. The threat from the United States. Well, they're saying that they may have to close their Johannesburg consulate, which serves about 5 provinces. How do you respond to concerns that this could negatively impact South Africans seeking visas and other consular services, and also the issue of already near severed diplomatic ties between Pretoria and Washington?
I think the president of this country has said it, and then he has said it quite correctly. Just to reiterate, the president says our relationship with the United States is mutually beneficial. In fact, consular services, amongst other things, look to not only deal with traveling and so on, but deal with the business interest of a country. The United States is business interest in this country, and for them to perpetually tell us that they're going to pack up and leave as if they've got nothing to lose is just. But they say empty tin makes the lot of noise. It's just noise as far as we are concerned. There's no genuinity to it. The United States benefits from a relationship with this country. It relates to AGOA and among other things. So they can't tell us that they will leave or whatever the case is, as if they've got nothing to lose. It's not true. We're not changing the consulate simply because we want to annoy them or or get them pissed.
I
No,
wanted
we have a
I wanted
process.
I wanted to ask that exactly because to some they're saying this is like a middle finger to the United States, the proverbial middle finger to the United States, to have a letterhead of theirs from one Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled Drive, a person that they considered a terrorist, and they're going to have that name on the letterhead right next to their coat of arms, essentially. So don't you think that also plays a factor? The mere fact that there's going, if this name change does go through, you're gonna have Leila Khalid Drive on the letterhead of an official United States document.
Right, look. Is this some kind of a funny, if people were to say, or a coincidence? Oh yes, it is. We by the way, we do not go around saying, look, there's a consulate of the U.S. here, or the ambassador of the United States resides here. Therefore, let's do something that is pro Palestine. No,
Then why
it,
Sandton Drive? Why not any other
and
street
exit,
in
and
South
I'm saying
Africa?
this was a process done by the city of Johannesburg. We do not know of their knowledge of Sandton Drive. Perhaps it's the longest street in the heart of Sandton. Perhaps it symbolizes the bigger chunk of Sandton's traffic. So people will know where they're driving, who they're driving street on, and so on. We really don't know. And we don't believe it was simply because of the annoyance of the United States. That would be reducing South Africa's Palestine solidarity actions to being petty, to
Mm.
being a high school like menace. No, we don't believe it.
Just lastly, before I let you go, Ali, we woke up to devastating news out of Gaza that almost 200 Palestinians have been confirmed dead. Many of them being women and children, and those are attacks by the Israeli genocidal forces. And Israel continuing to say, they'll extend beyond the airstrikes. And this has been, following weeks of those failed negotiations and the rising tensions with Hamas, which has accused Israel of overturning the ceasefire and putting the fate of 59 remaining hostages in question. How do you respond to those devastating news?
It's terrible. It's terrible, and we've always said that Israel's intentions in Palestine, in the historic land of Palestine, was always to rid the historic land of Palestinians, of its indigenous people, to make way for a settler colonial regime. In this particular instance, we have also always said that we don't believe that there's a ceasefire. This is a pause in hostilities. This is the pause in the genocide. This is the pause in the killing of Palestinians, and they've confirmed it. Israel has a historic habit of violating ceasefires. They do it all the time. We don't believe there's a ceasefire that they've upheld. Their intentions are to kill as much Palestinians as possible, and there's no amount of a sham or a falsified show of a ceasefire will stop them. We know their intentions, we know their goals, and we still continue to say, if the world does not hold Israel accountable and believe that Israel, in its own accord, in terms of the ceasefire and others, will stop killing Palestinians, that won't happen.
Ali Komape, Communications and Campaigns Manager at Africa for Palestine. Thank you so much for giving us the time and joining us this morning.
Thank you again for having us.
There you go. Yeah. What do you think? You can engage with us. You can comment. The U.S. Consulate threatening to close their offices over Sandton Drive, renaming to Leila Khaled Drive. Do you think this is a good move by the city of Johannesburg? Do you think this was an instigated move by those involved? They knew where Sandton Drive is. Do you think it was the proverbial middle finger, or do you think, as I think, that this is a move that is appreciated. This is a move that further intensifies and shows that South Africa is not wavering when it comes to its support for Palestine, that we are still head and shoulders above everyone else when it comes to speaking out on the ongoing genocide, a genocide that is happening right now as we speak. People are dying. And it's by the Israeli occupying forces, aided by the same United States of America, which seems to have their knickers in a knot because of a renaming of a street. You can engage with us. Do you think it's a good move? Do you think we should follow through with it? And do you think that there's going to be further I don't know, diplomatic tensions between South Africa and the United States of America, aided, of course, by this name change? As I mentioned, our studio line is 011-680-0355. Our WhatsApp line is 061-766-0355. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, news and views continues after this.